What's a random ass thing you remember from your childhood? Someone my mom knew came over for a visit. Her son and I went outside to play. He accidentally rattled a bee's nest. They started swarming. He yelled, "Run for your life." So I did. The last thing I remember was looking back while running away and seeing him punching the bees. I don't know who he was or what happened to him. My mom has no recollection of this. Edit. On second thought, his last words to me might have been "save your sea elf." That sounds like that movie where the kid dies from being bitten up by bees, lol. My girl. I called a bulldozer a duck once. I once was on a family trip to Houston to see my grandmother, roughly 7-yo. Back roads, country area, farmland. There were some solid white cows looking over a fence line that was overgrown with little trees. Those weeds that get so big and thick they turn into trees. And I said, "Mommy, Daddy, look. There's white chairs in the trees. I bet they make the best soup." Apostrophe. Big brain time. On a serious note, what was going through your head? I was in kindergarten, and I had collected these huge nuts from a tree during recess. A girl across from me had a huge birthmark on her arm, and I kept staring at it. She got upset at me and was about to tell the teacher. I said, "No please. Here, have a nut." She smirked, gladly took the nut, and didn't tell on me. 10/10 would take your nut. r/unexpected romance. I once had a dream where a gorilla walked into my room, grabbed and casually ripped out my hair. It didn't hurt though. Ate it, and then walked out. That's it. Has stuck with me for 20 years. When I was in kindergarten, I had a 3-part dream. I know it was kindergarten, since when my mom would wake me up for school she would ask about my dreams. Anyway, each night for 3 consecutive nights I had virtually the same dream. Plot went like this. My 2 brothers and I would be playing in our backyard when we would hear a lot of yelling coming from the neighborhood. All of the houses were on the same side because the building across the street was one long warehouse. We run to the front yard to see a T-Rex walking up the road. The 3 of us run inside and grab baseball bats and hockey sticks, etc. and run outside and battle the T-Rex, eventually killing it. The next night the dream was identical, with one difference. The T-Rex had no skin. Its muscles exposed, but everything else was unchanged. We battled and killed, fit with the same makeshift weapons. The third night the T-Rex was just a skeleton. And again everything else about the dream was the same. They are still the coolest dreams I have ever had. The trilogy dream. Do you happen to be a plumber by the name of Mario? I remember laying in a play tent on my back with my legs crossed in the air, bobbing my foot, surrounded by stuffed animals, looking at a picture book pretending I could read, either in preschool or kindergarten. It's a nice little calming flash of childhood that pops into my head every now and then. And I'm over here remembering the time I had a severe crying meltdown in a Pizza Hut because I, in my own words at the time, forgot how to use a fork. Apostrophe. Kids will have tantrums about the dumbest stuff. I swear. I remember my daughter throwing a fit once because there was chicken on her sandwich. She had asked for a chicken sandwich, and she didn't want chicken, just a chicken sandwich. My mum trusted me to post a letter for her, and I put it down a drain cause drain grills kinda looked like a letterbox. Well, at least you posted it. That red balloon gets all the kids. I remember my younger brother and I taking a Ziploc bag of quarters to the arcade and playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles until we beat Shredder on the final level. Had a crowd around us by that time. I'm envious that you had an arcade to go to as a kid. I'm 27. Arcades were nearly extinct by my time, and the ones that did exist were basically just Chuck E. Cheese and Craig's Cruisers. So no real arcade games. I have resolved to own an arcade cabinet of my own someday. I once peed my bed and got up to go tell my mom. But when I walked into the hallway there were inches of water on the ground because the washer had flooded it. I just sat down on the floor in the dark and cried because I thought I had flooded the house with my pee. Edit. My first gold is on a comment about me peeing myself. I'm not upset. Thank you, kind stranger. Bless your poor heart. Kids are so weird and funny. If it makes you feel any better, I peed my bed when I had the flu, age 5 or so. Instead of going to tell my mom, I got up and changed my pajamas and then used the tissues from the box on my nightstand to mop up the pee. Really, I just stuck tissues all over the pee spot to make a sort of hellish papier-mâché on my bedsheet, moved to the other side of the bed, and went back to sleep. My mom was not pleased. Was she pissed? For some reason, I wrestled with a goose. Ducker got me pinned down and pecked on chest/throat while I use all my strength as a 7-year-old kid trying to choke its long neck. Dad came to rescue me and then I cried until I was asleep. Geese are hardcore little duckers. I remember my dad trying to drown me. My brother also remembers this, but my mother denied it ever happened until my wedding day. Well, this got dark and wet. I also remember pretending to be a chef and I took a bowl and put mud, grass, clovers, dirt, and water in it while commentator about the creation of the dish. I did this with bath water and bath toys when I was very small. My siblings and I would have cooking shows on the side of the bathtub. I did this too, except I would use everything in the bathroom. Soap, shampoo, toys, powder, Q-tips, hairspray, the whole shebang. My mom didn't appreciate it, but I had a ball. The time in first grade I called the teacher mom, and then the whole class started laughing, and I stood up and started crying, and as soon as it got quiet I farted loudly. That reminds me of when I was in first grade and we were watching Pinocchio for some reason. I whispered to my friend that ass was the swear word for donkey and the teacher loudly informed me, by name, that it was not in fact a swear word for donkey and to please be quiet. I'm sure nobody cared or noticed, but obviously it embarrassed me enough that I still think about it nearly 30 years later. When I was about 7 or 8 we were watching this crappy school video about Adam and Eve. I don't know why. Adam and Eve both were naked, but the director had them in increasingly stupid locations that meant random trees and bushes hid their nudity. Me and my friend Charlotte found this the funniest shit we had ever seen. The teacher screamed to stop laughing at Adam and Eve, which made it way funnier. She then screamed that nudity isn't funny, which again made it funnier. It got to the stage where I was laughing more than I have ever laughed in my life. Tears were pouring down my face and I was struggling to breath because it was so ridiculous. Then Eve moved and the ducking snake was used to cover her nudity and that was it. The teacher sent us to stand in the hall, which was the biggest punishment because it meant other teachers would walk past and ask what you had done. And sometimes the head teacher would even come past and shout. I was so embarrassed and upset despite the fact that looking back this was hilarious as shit. When I was 8 I first learned about sex. So the following day I went up to all my friends' parents in the public swimming pool that everyone went to because it was summer and kept saying stuff like, "Did you have sex? You had sex? Did you have sex to make Caden?" etc. All while laughing and then wondering why they all looked so offended. Despite me clearly understanding it was a taboo subject. My dad swiftly took me home once he learned. I guess one of the parents must have eventually complained. I even remember being like, oh, I wish Kana's mom was there, then I could have asked her. Yee. That reminds me of when I asked my babysitter if she knew about sexing, and she started to laugh, and I didn't know why. She explained to me that it was called having sex. This was probably 1990. Hey, I think I've seen that one. I saw my father being held at gunpoint in his bank in Guadeloupe in his first day on the job. That must have been rough. I was way too young to remember anything, and my father had been warned that a white dude like him settling in a bank wouldn't be too popular. So even though he was probably scared shitless when this happened, this is now a funny anecdote he tells at every family dinner. I was eating a bag of chocolate cookies and let one fall to the floor. An old lady that had just bought some saw me desperately try to reach it and offered one. I accepted and was about to eat it when my mom came out of absolutely nowhere and slapped it right out of my hand, scaring me shitless. Turns out she thought it was the floor cookie. Nowadays she justifies it by saying you shouldn't accept food from strangers. Stranger danger is so stupid. On paper it's crucial to teach to children, but at the same time you'll likely never need to be wise with it. When Shrek came out, Heinz released ketchup in bright green and purple. Was that Shrek related? I could have sworn that was just some weird 2000s promo. Look at the cool new ketchup colors. Remember my dad telling me you're no longer 3. Little boy, on my 4th birthday, remember me crying in 1st grade because I couldn't find my friend, and perhaps the most cringy thing I remember is trying to pee in a bottle, then missing it and peeing all over the car. I was 6. I got depressed on my 6th birthday for a small bit because the realization hit me that I was 1 year closer to dying. Back when I lived with my mother, I want to say I was 4 or 5 years old. I built a paint roller out of Legos, and I would go around the house painting the walls. This is so cute, oh my goodness. I accidentally found masturbation by continuously rubbing my crotch on the sofa armrest. It's a good way to give your arm a rest. You could get under arrest. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.